Good morning, everybody. This is KHEA Radio, and I'm excited because it's 9 o'clock, and we have some special guests that are going to be hanging out with us today. We're going to be talking about an opportunity for you to get involved in the community. We're going to be talking about an opportunity for you to get involved raising money, and also, I think, just walking and spreading awareness for ending Alzheimer's. So we have Miss Susan Leaning, and she's going to be in studio talking about this event. If you've heard of Cookies with a Cause, then you're going to know Miss Leaning. She also was a teacher at Santa Fe High School, and I believe she's retired now, but there's a lot of people who still know her from that. I know we had one of our interns, Crystal. She was actually her teacher, and Crystal is now on staff here at Abundant Life Christian Center. So let me know if you're tuning in for the first time today, how you are doing and what's going on. So I see our guests, they're making their way in, and we are going to be getting into everything that's happening. So, and I actually see there's some cookies in studio, which is always a good thing. There's always having cookies in studio, and these are cool. So I'm going to look at these real quick, and they look delicious. So in Alzheimer's, it says reason to hope, walk to end Alzheimer's. So how you guys doing today?
How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad that y'all are here.
Thank you.
So I was sharing with Ethan earlier. I said, okay, do you know Miss Leaning? Do you remember? I'm not sure if you were here, the last time. And I said there was cookies involved. And so I didn't know if there would be cookies today, but there are. So what am I looking at right now?
Those are just some cookies that I brought for y'all, but that's part of my fundraising. And so far I've raised right at $8,000 for this year's walk. And it's all most in part to cookies. And it's also in part to some generous folks that gave $5 or $20 or $75 during my birthday week. Mm-hmm. So every little bit, the drop in the bucket, fills it up. Yeah,
there's a lot of generous people that sometimes they just need a place to give. Like, you don't know. Like, there's a cause, and it's like, wow, I can help make a difference, with that. And whenever you kind of just share, like, this is important, like, hey, buy some cookies.
Yep.
And that's an opportunity.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're very good cookies too.
Yes. Oh, yes, I have had them. And I remember last time that you came on, I think, or no. It was Chris with Santa Fe Water Services, and I think you were just chatting, and we were talking about chickens.
Yes.
And you were talking about how you had chickens and everything, and I remember that conversation too.
Yes.
So how are you doing today? What's your name?
My name is Sally Byram.
Sally, all right. And we're talking about this event, Walk to End Alzheimer's. Can y'all kind of walk me through what this looks like?
Sure. We have a huge walk that happens on Saturday, October the 12th at 8:30 in the morning at Stewart Beach Pavilion in Galveston. Last year we had over 1,000 walkers there, and it's a very fun event. We have lots of activities, and we just have a grand old time celebrating and hoping for a cure for the disease.
And there's some people who walk to the edge of the water, and that's as far as they get, and they put their feet in. If they have their children or grandchildren, they put their feet in, and that's okay too. It's the idea of supporting the walk and supporting those that are living with Alzheimer's, taking care of folks with Alzheimer's, and just tired of friends and family suffering.
Yeah, so this event, you mentioned last year, like, how many years has this been going on?
Oh, goodness. I want to say like 12 years or something.
At least.
Yeah.
12 years. Do we know who started it?
Alice Williams with Libby's Place in Galveston was a huge part of that. Now the National Alzheimer's Association, this is their major fundraiser throughout the nation. So it is a huge deal in cities all across the nation. This walk is happening.
It starts, I know the one where my mom lives in New York is Saturday. It's later it's in October. But it's, they walk, it's all through the month of October and like a week or two in November, and that covers all of the walks in the nation, and it also covers all of the Houston walks, and there are 12 walks in the Houston area, and we're one of them.
Okay, and this was taking place in Galveston.
Yes.
And they're all happening at the same time?
No.
They're just like scattered throughout the day or the weekend?
Now, the Baytown walk is the same weekend as ours, but all the other ones are scattered about.
Okay, awesome. And if somebody has never heard of this event, which, I'm sure there are a lot of people who have, it's been going on, for a bit, why is this so important?
Well, statistically, Alzheimer's is the sixth leading cause of death, and 1 in 3 Americans over the age of 70 die with some form of Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
There are more than 16 million Americans providing care for loved ones, and that's unpaid care. That means because Alzheimer's is not an illness according to Medicare, Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mom is at a home and it's private pay. And so there's no funding for that. Now, if she gets sick, of course, then like with the flu or something, they take care of her.
Yeah.
There are 5.8 million Americans living with Alzheimer's. The caregivers who work for free give over 18.5 billion hours a year. And in 2019, Alzheimer's and other dementias will cost the nation $290 billion. That's why we need to find a cure.
Mm-hmm.
Our country can't afford to keep doing that.
Yeah. Do we know the cause?
No.
No, there's millions being spent on research to try to find out what would be a cure or what are the leading causes of this disease. And the National Alzheimer's Association has awarded more than $486 million in research grants.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know the cause yet, but we're finding out some very interesting things.
Yeah, I wonder, like, how long has it been documented? Is this something that has, taken place, since forever, and there's always been forms of it? Or is this something that's, in recent years, in the 1900s or even, the 2000s, if it's just like multiplying?
Well, there's always been dementia, and Alzheimer's falls under an umbrella of dementia. There are many other forms of dementia. So it's kind of hard to know exactly when this was, how long Alzheimer's has been going on, but we do know that dementia has been a common problem for the elderly for years.
Mm-hmm.
We are living so much longer now. There are a lot of factors that go into that, and I think we're seeing more and more cases of Alzheimer's. So we're hoping that we're going to discover something really special that comes along soon that helps us cure this.
All right, here we go. We're going to go on the FM right now. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Right now it's 9:08 on a Monday. So good morning to you. My name's Gardy, and I'm excited. I'm going to be talking to a couple of guests. I have Miss Leaning and I have Sally in studio. We're going to be talking about the Walk to End Alzheimer's, how you can get involved, find out more information, and even participate. It looks like it's coming up in October. It's going to be October the 12th. And, I've heard Alzheimer's and, dementia thrown around, and, it's not a pretty thing. And I'm fortunate. As far as I know, I don't think anyone in my family has had to deal with it. But for a lot of people, it changes everything, right?
Absolutely.
So if somebody's never heard of Alzheimer's or even dementia, what are the signs? Like, what happens with that?
Go ahead.
My mother-in-law and my mother both died of Alzheimer's. And so signs would be that the speech looks very different. They begin to forget very common things like all of us might do as we're aging. But this becomes much more chronic, and the things that are forgotten begin to be things like your family members' names and things that would be, or how to, like in the case of my mother, she was an excellent cook, and suddenly she was forgetting recipes and wasn't sure exactly how to go about doing the things that she always had done in the past.
Yeah. If you start to forget stuff, I forget stuff, often, and I'm just wondering, like, are there signs? And if you catch it early, does it make a difference?
A diagnosis is extremely important because depending on the type of dementia and depending on what the person has going on, makes all the difference in the world. A person could have had a stroke, which would cause dementia. A person could have a clogged artery, like a carotid artery clog or something like that, which would also limit the amount of blood that the brain receives, which could look like dementia also. So it's very important to find out what is going on there.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of healthcare providers who don't know what a diagnosis looks like because they haven't been trained. And that's something else that the Alzheimer's Association is working towards, is to advocate for, especially Texas doctors, to do that. We went to Austin in April and lobbied them to raise the amount of money that gets put into Alzheimer's awareness, which would actually help with the funding for doctors to be educated and to be able to say, okay, you need to go see Dr. J over here because he can deal with that.
Is there a lot of misdiagnosis that goes on where people are, they're thinking like, oh, it's, maybe you had a mini stroke or something, or maybe you had, like you mentioned, like arteries or something like that. Is there a lot of misdiagnosis?
I think there can be, and there probably is, but a test, if a doctor is doing the right test, they're going to discover whether or not that's the case.
And really a PET scan is the only thing that can truly prove it. I'm a care partner for my friend, and I got to take her for her PET scan, and her brain looks like driving to Galveston on a really foggy morning.
And you can just see that. They scan it, and you can tell a difference between a brain that has dementia and a brain that doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah, my mother's case, the left hemisphere of her brain, most of it was not receiving blood.
Wow.
So you can obviously see that on the scan.
Okay.
It shrivels up. Like if you Google pictures of Alzheimer's brains versus a healthy brain, it's as though it shrivels up.
Okay. And your brain, if I understand, isn't it just like, it's fat and it's other material? Like it's not like a muscle, is it?
I'm not a doctor, so that's a hard one for me to answer. I don't think so. But, our brain just does so many things for us. And so our behaviors, our mobility, everything is affected. Hearing, sight, speech, all affected by how the brain functions.
The only thing that my mom is not affected with is her appetite. That's
normal.
She doesn't speak. She can't walk. She gets showered. All of her care. In fact, she gets fed, but she likes to eat, and she knows that when that spoon or fork gets close, she can tell in her sleep that it's close.
Yeah, is that normal for most people who suffer with Alzheimer's?
The eating part, I don't see that because I see a lot of the people that sit at her table at the home don't want to eat.
Yeah.
They're just like disgusted by it, so that's the part of the problem too. It's different for patient A than it is for patient B and C and D, and there's just so many symptoms that can come in, but they don't always come at the same time. And so it's like, okay, they started here. Oh, wait, this one started here. And so it's really hard to tell. And that's part of the problem. Our thing is my mom is at a home because that's where she's safe. Because before she went to the home, she was walking up and down the steps. She was boiling water to throw on the imaginary bugs. It was just not safe for her to be at the house.
Yeah.
That's a really important point, I think, especially if you're a caregiver. My father and I took care of my mother along with my husband in our home. And one of the things that we always said is we would do all of this and work together as a team, and we did. But always the measuring stick was safety. So the minute that either he's not safe as a caregiver or she is not safe because she's not receiving what she needs, or she could fall or whatever, then we really did have to consider, do we need outside care?
Yeah. Miss Susan, I believe, is your mom, she's not in state, right?
No.
Where is she at?
She's in New York.
She's in New York.
My brothers are there, and that's why she's there.
Okay. And when did she start to show signs? And was it diagnosed early?
No. My brother was, she was living in my brother's home. My dad died 12 years ago, and then it was like all of a sudden everybody's like, she can't remember this, she doesn't do this. Well, my dad had been doing things. My dad's illness was quick. He had leukemia, and he passed away in 3 months. Wow. And so, but because he got up every morning and did stuff, like he did all the laundry and the grocery shopping and the cooking, because he liked to, nobody noticed that she wasn't and couldn't. And so it's been at least 12 years.
Okay, and then like after that happened, your father passed, and then you're like, y'all are noticing like, wow.
And because I would visit every few months, I would see it more. My brother was like, well, I had a lucid conversation. I was like, 1 in a week doesn't count. And then the year after my dad passed, my older daughter, she was 23, youngest daughter, she went to Germany with her. Okay, so one of the signs was my mom had forgotten to buy the insurance on a cruise they were supposed to take in August. He passed in July. And she was like, no, I did. And No, you didn't. So they lost a lot of money, but she still wanted to go. And Katie was like, I'll go with her, you know. Well, there were a lot of signs. Like, Katie was me. She called her Susan the whole time. Katie she would lock herself in the restroom and just cry, or she'd wake up and ask why there was water everywhere. And, you know, it was just a lot of things for a year. And so then we got in-home care, and it's not healthcare providers. They're just like grown-up babysitters. They were wonderful, though, after we got rid of the first one. They were wonderful. They took her to places she liked to go. And then after a while, she didn't want to go anywhere. They made sure she had good food to eat. And they made sure her bed, you know, all the little light housekeeping things, cleaned sheets, and made sure she took showers. And,
Yeah.
And made sure she washed when she took a shower. Because when I did that, we had to send her back in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned earlier something about like Medicaid, Medicare. A lot of that stuff isn't covered with that, so that can put us, you know, a lot of financial stress on a family, right?
We're really fortunate that she had a great pension and gets Social Security and good investments, because her home is about $8,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people who maybe, you know, aren't even in that situation. For them, they may be with family, or
there's no choice because they can't afford that. I mean, it's expensive. It's not a cheap thing. And even like now, if she had to go to the hospital, they think she had a mini or a little stroke about 2 months ago, and she went to the hospital. Well, that's all covered with her insurance and Medicare, Medicaid. I never know which one it is for the old folks. Anyway, and so that's all covered with that. But then she goes back, and all that love and care that she gets at her home is paid for by her.
Mm-hmm. So when did you start making cookies, you know, to make a difference? And you talk about a drop in the bucket, but you made a big difference in this area for sure.
It was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was like somebody wanted to have a bake sale, and I was like, somebody offered to buy cookies. I can make more by them donating in exchange for cookies than I can having a bunch of bake sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then I teach classes now too, and that's where I can really make a lot at once. Is people make their donation, and they're allowed to come to class in exchange for that donation.
Yeah. How did y'all meet?
Through
the committee. We're on the walk committee.
Okay. And y'all both serve on that committee?
Yes.
Okay.
For a couple years.
It's been 4 for me.
4 years.
But
and you know, whenever
maybe me too, I think.
so y'all kind of joined at the same
Yeah,
same
you were
time.
there when I started. So
Was
I
I?
know, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Wow. Are you from this area? Where are you raised?
I live in Galveston. I was
Okay.
raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Cool. When did you end up down here from Galveston?
Well, we were in Austin for 25 years, raised 3 children, moved back to Galveston. We were here in the early 80s, and we love Galveston. It's
Okay.
a wonderful place to live.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I think you said that your mom and your grandmother, they both had Alzheimer's.
My mom and my mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law. Okay.
Yeah, so about the time that my mother-in-law passed away with Alzheimer's, we started noticing the signs with my mother, and they were so very similar that we were fairly certain fairly soon that might be what we were dealing with.
Mm-hmm. And how does that affect a family?
Oh my goodness, in so many ways. That, you know, emotionally, here's this really fine, unbelievable person that you just have the pleasure of being around. My mother had a contagious laugh, and just my best friend, really, and such a matriarch in our family. And suddenly this person is not able to do what they normally do. And so you're very slowly losing the personality of this person that you adore. Mm-hmm. So you have the emotional component. Then you have the concern and, you know, how will we care for this? What do we need? And so I encourage families so often to, you know, this is a village disease. When this is a diagnosis that a family receives, this definitely is contacting everyone that you can possibly find that might be able to give you information or help you learn how to take care of this loved one, because we need lots of help. As Susan said, there's a group that came in and cared for her mother at home. There's that kind of care. There's hospice in the later stages, which is so important. There is possible nursing care if your family member is no longer safe at home and you're able to afford that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if not, then you've just got family members rotating. In our case, I would take care of my mom while my dad went to Kiwanis or did other things in his life, so he's not just so homebound.
Right.
Because that is something that happens. Caregivers are often physically affected more than the person with the disease and often die before the person with the disease. And then you end up, now they had a good support system, and so that her dad was able to be himself too, because you lose yourself if you're home all the time. And like I have a friend that said, yeah, sometimes we go and sit so my father-in-law can go get groceries.
Right.
Well, he needs more than groceries. He needs his friends to play golf with. He needs his friends to go to church with. And so it's a juggling act.
Right. Or just time to be alone, because when you're with someone with Alzheimer's, you are it's constant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A walk on the beach.
Well, you mentioned Kiwanis, the Kiwanis Club, and then obviously, this organization. Have you always, been plugged in trying to give back in different ways?
Oh, absolutely. My husband and I are very active in Rotary in Galveston, and we have a huge competition going on right now between our Rotary Club and another Rotary Club on the island to raise funds for the walk.
And Santa Fe's Rotary. Oh, no, it's not the Rotary Club.
Yeah.
It's the Chamber.
The
Texas
Chambers
City, maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, that's good competition,
Oh,
for sure. Whenever it's for a great cause.
Yeah,
Yes.
Hopefully they can catch me.
Yes, our Chamber of Commerce in Galveston, led by Gina Spagnola, she's been so wonderful to garner other chambers, and she has a chamber challenge with the other Chamber of Commerces in our area, hoping that we will also, get a really fun competition going there.
And to raise the awareness, like all of the facts. And they're easy to find. You can go to alz.org and all of the Alzheimer's facts, or just Google Alzheimer's Facts 2019 and all the current stuff comes up. And some of it is staggering. Well, most of it is. It's something that doesn't care if you're rich, poor, Democrat, Republican. Right. It doesn't care who you are.
Does not discriminate.
It does discriminate, though, if you are of color. You have a higher rate of getting the disease.
Really?
Yes.
That's what the numbers and research shows?
Yes.
It's interesting.
Well, with breast cancer, too, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I don't know why. It must have something to do with
I don't know.
Genetics. And Alzheimer's isn't just for old people. I went to D.C. for the forum this year, and a 50-year-old man sat up on the stage with his son who is in college and his wife who had to quit her job because he got lost on his way home from his banking job. He was high in a bank, and he just started to forget everything. So with his retirement check, he said, if I'm going to forget everything, I'm going to forget it on a boat. And so he bought a boat. And so that's what he and his wife do as long as they can because he can't work. She can't work. She has to take care of him. And so they're just enjoying life while they can enjoy it.
Are there a lot of people that are researching, looking for the cure?
Baylor, MD Anderson even has. We visited the MD Anderson lab back in the spring. And what they're doing, or the way they told it to us common folk, was that they're trying to find the key that opens the lock every time they put it in it. Because sometimes they'll find a key that'll open a lock, but the next time they put it in, it won't open it.
Because we had touched on, everybody's different. Every case looks different. It affects people in different ways. With your mother, everything is gone, with food, that's okay. With somebody else, that could be a different case. So I understand, like, it may be different cures. Like, I mean, it's the same thing with, I see with cancer research. I was like, how can there be one key that works? And it may be out there. You just got to find it.
No question. And UTMB is also doing a lot of research. All of the hospitals really in the nation. I think there's so much going on.
Yeah, 2 years ago I went to Baylor, and they actually use fruit flies because they have they're cheap, first of all, and they have a short lifespan, and they can get Alzheimer's. I believe they give them certain things to
trigger, to do stuff.
Anyway, and so like the natural instinct is for a fruit fly to fly up. And so they had 3 test tubes, and it was like young ones, middle-aged, and old. And so they shook the test tubes to get them all confused, and the young ones all flew up. The ones who, in the middle, some of them flew up, and the one on the bottom, none of them did. And so it was just really interesting to see that. And then they apply what they learned there to mice. We weren't allowed to photograph those. So.
Mm-hmm.
But, if they can learn how to cure the disease with a little mouse that was raised for that purpose, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But what they were doing was there's also like sensory things that can trigger. I've heard that if you have a good sense of smell, that it's a good thing. So I'm like, good. But they were like putting different smells in and to see how the mouse reacted to the smells. And there were some that he didn't move at all, and then others, like he moved they had a foam ball for him to run on, and he went crazy running. And then they'd get another odor, and he wouldn't react at all. And so I don't know what those meant, but those scientists were all excited, and that's what's important to me.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, for them to get excited over what's happening.
Yeah, sense of smell, taste, music, like hearing certain sounds, and it kind of takes you back to a different place. The way the brain works, obviously, I don't understand it, and I think even the people who are professionals in researching it, to the full extent, they probably don't fully understand it. I don't know if we'll ever be able to, but, making those breakthroughs in research and being like, okay, we unlocked, what's the next step?
Right.
That's right.
Well, they said their hope is in 4 years. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what that means. Their hope is in 4 years. Well, it's a full-blown cure, or we understand this and now we can go forward. I mean, there's a guy that his job in the research facility is to recreate. Okay, so like let's say they take a slice of I were to die tomorrow, and they take a slice of my brain and they want to look at it. Well, they can only do that so many times because it's like small samples, but he recreates those samples somehow.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But
amazing what they can do.
yeah, it really is. And, I just like those are the real heroes right there.
Yeah. Is it important to, like you mentioned, if something happens, to be a donor? Is
Yes,
that
it
something
is.
you can help with Alzheimer's research?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very much so. Because they're like, first of all, most people don't know they're getting it, and so they can't sign off on that after, Like my brother and I have decided that my mother, it would be okay. What's she going to do with it? And I know I'm a organ donor. Well, it's a different kind of organ donor, but my family knows that this is important. If I were to get Alzheimer's and pass away, that I want my brain studied. I want them to be able to find a cure because of me.
Yeah.
So
I know that sometimes like football players and people who have those concussions, and to see their brains and the difference, like it looks like a 90-year-old person's brain, but
Yep.
maybe they ended up getting in a dark place and took their life. You see it all the time.
yeah, because they can see what the future is, and they're not. It's scary.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
really is.
So how can people make a difference? If someone's listening or watching, how can they get involved and make a difference?
They can sign up for the walk. And to find the walk, they can just go alls.org/walk and then just look for the Galveston Bay Area walk and make sure it's the Galveston one on Stewart Beach. And it costs $0 to sign up. They can sign up for any team they want. They can make their own team. They can sign up for my team, which is Love Remembers, or for her Rotary team, or for a chamber, or wherever their heart takes them.
Are you walking on the beach? Is it going to be a
Yes.
walk on the
Yeah,
beach?
you can take your shoes off and everything.
It's very fun.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
How far are y'all? What's the goal? How far are y'all walking?
It's technically a 5K, but most people do about a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all right, so we go down to the beach, turn right, walk to the first rock groin, and that's a pretty good walk, and come back, and they're supposed to keep going, but a lot of people just go back to the pavilion. There's nobody, it's not timed. If you want to time it, you do it yourself. The hardcores know how to do that.
Do some
anyway.
people take it super serious and hardcore like that?
Teenagers sometimes will get out there and they'll just run the whole thing, and because they're teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, and everyone wears purple. They're very fun purple decorations because purple is the Alzheimer's color too.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I also wanted to be sure and say is that there's a 24-hour hotline for caregivers with the Alzheimer's Association. People can go to the Alzheimer's Association website. Yes, 800-272-3900. They can call any time of the day or night, and they will get a live person on the phone, because so often a person that's a caregiver is in crisis. One other real quick thing I wanted to say is, if your loved one receives a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, I think we are so devastated by that. But what I want to say is that there is a lot of lovely moments and living that happen from the point of diagnosis to the time a person passes away. And you mentioned music. music is just such a lovely way to bond with your family member who has Alzheimer's. You can put on music that is familiar from their era, especially. And my mother would just sit there and sing those songs, even to the very end. So there can be a lot of lovely moments. We want to make sure we're making eye contact, engaging, touching. We don't just write off our person when they receive that diagnosis. It's just an important thing to say.
Right now it's 9:31. This is KHEARadio.com, 99.5 FM. We are talking about the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and this is I think we said the 13th year that this has been going on?
Roughly.
12th, or we're not really sure.
12th or 13th year. And then in Galveston is an opportunity for you to go walk as well, get a team, join a team. Is it the more people that join the team, the more money that can potentially be raised, and it goes towards that cure, research for the cure, right?
Yes, and our goal is $205,000 this year. Last year we raised $185,000 in the Galveston Bay area, which was great. Mm-hmm. So we think we can get that.
Do you think there needs to be more awareness on Alzheimer's?
Oh yes, absolutely. And I think the Alzheimer's Association, I think the Walk to End Alzheimer's, and I think all of the work that we're all doing is starting to make a difference. I think it is becoming much more.
The office in Houston has support groups too and that's part of what you raise money for.
Right.
And I participated as a facilitator. We had a photography, music, and what did we do? And poetry. Mm-hmm. And so what they did, the lady that I got paired up with was like, I don't like photography. I didn't sign up for this. And I was like, what do you like? And she said, my dogs. And I said, okay, take a picture of your dogs. And she was happy. Okay. And then the poetry thing came. And we were writing a poem about the picture. So now I don't like poetry. I don't know who signed up for the same thing. And I said, what do you like? And she said, my dogs. And I said, guess what? We can write about your dogs.
Yeah.
And then the music component came from a professional cellist who takes the picture and the poem and decides on a piece of music to play to go with that. So when we're presenting it, hers was very whimsical. The song they picked for her was very whimsical and fun. Some of the other ones like real Baroque music, and so the music that went with their picture and poem was very Baroque, and so it was it's a beautiful thing. And then we had another session that was food memories. And they all especially talked about something their father cooked and how the family would gather and how they were allowed to help. And sometimes he would get the big kids in town to help haul firewood, and he'd give them a beverage afterwards. And so he, it was just they got to talk about their memories constantly then. Mm-hmm. And then we played some games that were food related. They got to, it was just a fun thing. And while I'm with I along with like two other ladies, were with those with Alzheimer's. There was a trained counselor with the caregivers, mm-hmm. And sometimes they just didn't like their loved one, their wife or their husband, but they loved them.
Yeah.
And that's why they were there, because they needed somebody to tell them that it's okay to feel like that. And it's frustrating. And these are the ways that you have to take care of yourself. So, but they're only allowed to come for a certain number of sessions. But we always need people who are diagnosed to participate. In fact, we didn't have enough to have a session last year. And so we always need people to contact the office. And they have to be willing to drive to Galveston. Yeah. But we also have other programs. Moody Gardens does programs every other month, I think. And one time I went with my lady that I'm caregiver for here, and care partner, I should say. And we went to the rainforest, and they just gave him a little tour, a very simple.
At Moody Gardens?
Yes. And then another time she couldn't go, so I went just to see, and it was the penguins, and we went to a private room, so it wasn't overwhelming, and they brought the penguin in. Really cool. I mean,
I've been trying to. We had Moody Gardens in studio on Thursday, and I've been trying to get a penguin in studio here because they said they have some warm climate penguins, and so we're going to try and make that happen.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I actually bought some penguin art too. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned photography earlier. You're a photographer as well, right? Mm-hmm. What kind of stuff do you enjoy shooting?
Well, I shoot the dynamo. and my grandson, of course. I do photo booths, and some of those I do for free at Texas Children's Hospital Cancer Ward, and also at Camp YOLO, which is coming up later in next month, and that's for teenagers who are battling hematology, oncology, cardiology, renal, and one other one I can never remember. Anyway, and they get to go for a camp at they get to go up to Camp for All in Burton and just have a weekend of everybody knows that there's something wrong with them and nobody cares what it is.
Yeah.
And they just get to have fun. Anyway, and that's my most of my photography.
So, giving back like that, obviously, with the Walk to End Alzheimer's, making cookies, and then you donate some time for photo booths and taking pictures like that. Where did you get that instilled in you to give back and say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is, taking care of people in the best way you can?
Probably my parents. When I was growing up, I worked at a Lutheran camp for $75 whole the whole summer. And I know it was in 74, but that still wasn't much money. And because they were like, well, we don't care how much money you make. We care what you're doing. And so, that was, it's probably from my parents.
Did you want to do it, or your parents are like, this is what you're doing?
Oh, no, I was on it. It was like, I want to work at camp. I want to work at camp. But you always need the ride to camp and parental support.
Sure.
So, yeah.
They were able to kind of help you navigate that. That's cool. Especially as you see it instilled and, to continue your life that way.
Well, in the later years, my dad did the flowers at our church, and he did the flowers at the local hospital. And then he'd get home with a cup of coffee and a newspaper from my mom about 11:30, and that's when she would get up. So when the caregivers came in, they were like, she won't get up in the morning. I said, wait till 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, yeah.
And you're a retired teacher, correct?
Yes. This is my 8th year out.
Do you miss it?
Kids, yes. The rest, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I was teaching, I taught a PALS class, and part of our PALS class, we did 15 hours of service learning every 9 weeks. So they had to do 60 throughout the year. And kids were like, I don't know what to do. And so I'd give them a list, and we'd find things to do.
Yeah.
We did Star of Hope. We did Cookies and Goodnight. We volunteered at the hospital when they were allowed to not be 18.
Yeah. So whenever did they have to find something that was like passionate for them, and then they would be like, this is what I want to do? Or like they would get that first taste of like, wow, the feeling that you get when you actually can make a difference. It can almost be, I don't want to say addicting, but it makes you feel good. Whenever you make a difference, it does make you feel good. How do the kids respond to that?
I had a very talented young lady. She could write music and play, and they volunteered at the Making a Mark art show one year. They were sitting at the table registering people, and a mom comes and said, could you take a picture of my husband and me with our son's photo? He's been gone 7 years now. It's the first time we've let it be in the art show. And it's like, And it was a Starry Night photo, a Starry Night painting. And so the girls took the picture, and then Jada went home, and she wrote a song to go. So, yes, it touches them.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, there's so many of the girls from my soccer group that we did a lot of service with. We did soccer camps at Star of Hope. We volunteered at the hospital. What else did we do with them? We did a lot. And anyway, there are like 5 or 6 or 7 nurses out of that. And there's another 2 handfuls of teachers out of that. So I feel like, yes, it does make a difference when kids are learning about doing things for other people and how it touches their lives.
Sally, how do you think we can get more young people involved? Because we were talking about the chamber, talking about, organizations, and it's people who are, established, and that's great, keep going. But do you agree that we need to get young people involved, volunteering, and even like events like this, walking and making a difference?
Absolutely. There's a new thing that the Alzheimer's Association is doing called the Longest Day. It's held on June 21st, and it's not raising money like in the way of a walk or a giant thing. One person can sell cookies, for instance, or if they're in a gym, everyone in the gym can participate and raise money that day and then donate that to the Alzheimer's. Association. There is a woman whose husband died with Alzheimer's, and she jumped out of an airplane and had people pledge money for that on the longest day.
Wow.
And so I think that particular fundraiser can appeal to young people, maybe in a I don't know, more concrete way. It's one day, it's very fun, and they can use whatever skill they have or something that they really love or like, and then raise money that day for Alzheimer's. That can be done on Facebook, and it's a fun way to raise money.
Yeah, social media is a great tool, and we like to spread positivity on it. And it's interesting, Ethan is 17 years old, and for like people his age, which he's up here volunteering, helping out as much as he can. He's raising his eyebrows. He is awesome. But different people, social media is great, but different age groups use different forms of social media. And so it's interesting to see, as Ethan's friends may not watch this stream, but, on a different platform, they may watch it. So it's just trying to reach them in the way that they get information.
My cookies, I have Twitter and Insta too. I personally have it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the cookies, it's cookies with a cause, right?
Oh, it's cookies _ it's between each word. Cookies for a Cause by Susan.
Yes.
I think that's how it comes out. Yeah.
I'm sure we follow you. I'm gonna go and double check.
And that's on Insta, and it's just Cookies by Susan on Twitter.
Okay. So yeah, if you're not following that, then you need to make sure that you are. Check out KHEA Radio's Facebook. That's what I'm pulling up right now. So I'm searching cookies. Yeah, cookies _for_a_cause_by Susan. Cookies for a Cause by Susan. You'll be able to check out some of these delicious cookies that I'm looking at right now, and I actually have some in studio, and I'm gonna kind of pick some of those up so y'all can maybe see some of these. If somebody wants to get some of these specifically to help with this Alzheimer's walk and in benefit, how can they get their hands on some of these?
They can make their donation or contact me through either Instagram, Facebook, or Cookies for a Cause by Susan at gmail.com, and I can make arrangements. And also I teach classes. I have classes coming up on September 13th, and then September 29th, October 15th, and November 10th at Spring Creek Barbecue. One of those is in Pearland, but the other three are in League City.
Awesome. Is there anything else y'all would like to share while y'all are here today?
We have our corporate team kickoff this Thursday evening at Moody Gardens, 5 to 6:30. We are bringing in people that are either in a very small corporation to very large corporations to learn about what we are doing and see how they might participate. It's a very fun evening and wonderful food. So we'd love to invite people to come out.
Awesome.
And we've got other options for corporations to sign up because we know not all corporations in this area are large. And so in order to get a sign, I'll show you my sign from last year. Okay, so if you raise a certain amount of money, you get a sign on the beach. Okay. But if you are a corporation and you donate a certain amount, can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
If you donate a certain amount, you'll get this on the beach, and everybody will say, oh, I want to go shop there afterwards, or I want to, this week I want to go pick something up there. Because
great advertising.
Yes. In fact, I know when I was teaching, those calendars that all the sports team get, if I needed flowers, I would go, okay, they sponsored our kids, so I'm going to get their flowers.
For sure.
Or I'm going to get pizza at that place because they sponsored our kids. And so we all need to remember to do that. If people are reaching out and sponsoring the walk, then we need to support them back. Yes.
100%.
Yep.
So if you are watching on Facebook, feel free to share this video out as the views will roll. And so people will go back and be able to watch this as well and learn about how they can help end Alzheimer's. This is a walk to end Alzheimer's. When's it happening one more time, and how can somebody go to that website, sign up, and be on both of y'all's teams?
Saturday, October the 12th, 8:30 in the morning at Stewart Beach.
That's so Galveston time, 8:30.
That's right.
It's like 8:30.
Well, you get there and register, or you
it's a party. I mean, it's very fun.
It is very fun. And there's vendors. The vendors are actually people who are sponsoring us, and they bring stuff out for people to have.
Right.
And if you raise, how much do you get Chick-fil-A? Who gets?
Is it the grand champion?
I think $1,000.
It's probably, yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, if you raise $1,000 or more, you get Chick-fil-A breakfast that morning.
All right.
If you donate $100, you get a T-shirt to wear at the walk, and everyone is there in those T-shirts walking.
Or they get their team T-shirt made, and that's fun too, because
Yeah,
then a lot
that's
of
true.
times it's to honor a family member. The reason I picked Love Remembers is because regardless of how advanced the disease gets, your loved one knows that they love you. They might not know who you are, but they know that there's someone who loves you, and they love back. And that's why
Absolutely.
I chose Love Remembers, because I didn't want to isolate anybody on my team and make it about my mom.
Right.
So
Thank you, Sally. Thank you, Susan, for hanging out
Thank
with us today.
you.
We appreciate you coming in and
Thanks.
sharing about this.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yep.
Of course. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be talking to my friend Chevy. We're talking to Big Mike about a brand new establishment that's opening. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, feel free to reach out.
I told because I
Whenever.
said he's really easy.
Yeah, you're very easy.
It is fun. Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah,
Just got to get comfortable and get in, and then it's all good.
and he's a daddy.
Yeah, I got 2 kids.
Yeah,
How old are they?
My daughter's 2 and my son is 6.
Oh, that's heaven.
and they're
stuff
precious.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my son, he's at school, and he started school again, and my daughter, she's still hanging out with mom. But yeah, they're awesome. I love my family. It's crazy. I never thought, and you know, even my son, you know, I love him, but then whenever you have a daughter, like life like kind of changes a little bit. And I didn't realize that. And my wife pointed it out to me, and I was like, yeah, I guess you're kind of right. Like
get
it
whipped.
changed me in a different
And you
Changed
become
me.
ultra protective.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's
Although
a,
you
and
really-
it's a love affair. Just,
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thank y'all.
You're welcome,
So
yeah.
much.
Let
Really
me know if there's anything I can
appreciate
do. Can we keep these?
Yeah, they're for you.
All right, thank you. Ethan, you want some cookies?
He's 17.
Yeah, Ethan can eat all these and be like, I need more. Thanks. Facebook, what's up? Hey, and Channel 46. Hopefully y'all are having a good day. It's Monday. What does that mean for you? TGIM. If you're watching, feel free to share this out. We're spreading some positivity. Guess what? So, life comes at you quick. And you know what else comes at you quick? Caffeine. Guess who hasn't had any? Me. I stopped drinking caffeine last Monday because my voice was messing with me. And so I've been doing this stuff that Dr. Chapa has given me, and I have it over here, and I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. But, you know, if you see me spray this in my mouth, mind your business. You hear it? It's some herbal throat spray. But it actually does help make me feel better. Oh, yeah. No, go ahead, Ethan. So we got intern Ethan in studio, who is maybe my best friend in the entire world. And I'm just glad to have him back. So Ethan he's homeschooled, but he's also in college, which blows my mind. I remember being 17 years old and junior, senior, whatever it was in high school. And man, I don't know. I wish I would have had the opportunity for like some dual credit or like a thing back then, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't have did the right thing. Go to the classes. I don't know. But hey, let me know what you're up to today. I appreciate Sally and Susan for stopping in, talking about the walk to end Alzheimer's. What's up, Chevy? So right now we are hanging out on Facebook, and we're hanging out on. You can actually come sit over here with him because we got the camera set up for that. The other one's not even on, but what's up, Mike?
What's up,
Dude, how's it going?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Over here?
Yeah, so you chill over here. I don't know, y'all want some cookies? Do you know Miss
Oh,
Leaning?
I'm
She's a
driving
teacher
later.
at Santa Fe. She retired 8 years ago. Susan Leaning.
I know the name.
Leining. Something like, I believe
heard the
I'm
name.
Leining. Yeah. So they're doing there's the walk to end Alzheimer's. It's taking place in October where people can go and go out. It's actually on the beach, literally on the beach, which
cool.
sounds like it's a great time. It's just I would just do it just to go walk on the beach. And people kind of take it chill where it's not like a race. It's just like, she said show up 8:30. I was like, that's
Whatever,
like
yeah.
island time.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
We're having a race. It can just start whenever.
no one's actually timing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
race, but it's for a great cause. So what's up? Hey, Chevy, what you been up to, man?
Man,
I I see Chop to the Chest is back.
Yeah, Chop to the Chest Radio. It's a podcast about local wrestling. If anybody's out there who loves wrestling and has no clue about the local scene, man, that's a good way to turn into. We interview wrestlers about their hopes and dreams, and we're just a love story to local wrestling. You know,
I'm jealous because you got Kevin on there.
I got Kevin. Oh, you haven't had Kevin yet, huh?
No, I've had Kevin in studio, like just having conversations and meeting and talking about stuff. But
he's a hard man to track.
He is, and I'm like, hey, can we? And he's like, I'll send this person, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Kevin, can you? I'll send this person. He's like, they're great too, but I need the man.
But you want the big dog, Kevin Bernhardt. Yeah, got him.
Yeah.
So it was a good man. It was one of those shows where I didn't have to do anything. You just let Kevin talk. He just talks and has wrestling stories for days. Man's been wrestling for over, I say 10 years, 15 years, something along that line. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he started when he was 14, which he does not recommend these days. But so it's just tons of stories, from WWE stories down to local wrestling, down to fighting in gyms, down to now everything he's doing at Reality of Wrestling, which is probably one of the biggest independent promotions in the nation right now. So,
yeah,
and it's right here, right in our backyard. So
yeah, and that's awesome. I was sharing with someone yesterday, and I don't know if they understand, like they aren't wrestling people, and their kids are from, I don't know, but they were from California, and they're here visiting, and I was explaining, Booker T, five-time champ, WWE Hall of Fame,
two-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I was like, he has a wrestling school over here. They were actually asking me how it went, and I was sharing about how sometimes we'll have some wrestlers on.
Yeah.
And what's up, Big Mike? How's it going, man?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you?
It's good to see you again. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
So Chevy was sharing with me, I guess there's some news coming. What's going on?
Well,
dropping
it's
bombs.
done. It's a done deal. Last time I was here was over at Headliners.
Yeah.
In League City, and opportunity was put at my doorstep, and I walked through it, and so now I got my own spot in Santa Fe. It's at the Chop Shop Hair Studio, and I got my own little suite in there, Big Mike's little barbershop.
Yeah.
And man, it's like a dream come true.
Yeah. Is that whenever you make a change like that, what goes through your head? Because it's not always the easiest decision.
Man, I'll tell you what, it was stressful because you have all the clientele that you've built up over the years, in League City or where you were, and you have very few people where you're going, but ultimately Santa Fe is where I've wanted to be. Because my kids go to school there. That's my hometown. And I've always wanted to go there and build up my clientele and have a shop there. And I always thought I could be successful there. I just needed the right opportunity. And the lady that owns the chop shop, she's been wanting to put some barbers in there for a while. And, man, I came across her sign. Her name is Tina. And I had a piece of paper with all the other stylists that worked there so I could shout them out, but I left it behind.
Oh, that's okay.
But everything just came together like it was it was meant to be.
Was Chevy a little like, man, you need to stay off my turf? Like, Santa Fe is my area, dude.
No, Mike taught me everything I know. I'm like coming in real low. And
no, he welcomed me, even, I told him, I said, hey, we got a spot for you over here, too.
You'll see, you'll see some videos and marketing work come out.
There'll be some collaborations,
I like it.
I'm still down with the hair Riot.
See, he don't even know the name.
Studio.
Riot Barber Studio.
Riot
He's
Barber.
like, I'm totally down with that. I'll remember the
Whatever
name
their
one day.
name
Whatever
is.
it's called.
Yeah.
It's Big Mike's Barbershop now.
Just
we're taking
absorbed.
over Santa Fe.
Yeah, so Chevy, whenever you started, cutting hair,
Yes.
Mike was a big influence and a help,
1,000%. Everything I know, I owe to this man. So you hear me say, like, if you hadn't heard the story goes, I was like, hey, I want to cut hair. And really, it was more almost a selfish move because Mike was like, yo, you can't go to barber school. People know you know me. And if you don't know how to cut hair, they're going to make fun of me. So he's like, let me show you everything, So for about 3 months straight, every Sunday, I would just call up people and say, hey, let me cut your hair. And my crazy friends, I've never touched clippers in my life, would just show up for free haircuts. And I don't know about you, but I know about me. I ain't letting people touch my hair that's never touched hair. Mike was there, so I think that was a big comfort because we were like, hey, if he messes up, he'll fix it. He'll fix it.
We got a
So-
pro.
Yeah. So he only had to fix 147 cuts. And no, I'm just kidding. But it was
he picked
good.
it up quick. He
Yeah.
picked it up quick. I gave him a little guidance, and he would go right at it, and that was an easy mentoring job. If everyone would learn as quick as he did, it'd be great.
How long ago did you start cutting?
I've been cutting since I was a kid.
Did you pick up pretty quick as well, kind of?
Yeah, I think it was. This is something that. This is my natural God-given talent. This is something that when I was a kid, we had jacked up haircuts. My mom would take us to the local barber down the street, and we'd get some nice chili bowls. And my older brother Steve, who I think is listening, he brought some clippers home, and we just started fading each other up. Him and once me and my brothers went to school, and people would ask, "Hey, who cut y'all's hair?" And
He did, pointed at each other.
I did, yeah. So I mean, it'd be Fridays after school and all during high school, kids lined up waiting to get into my bathroom and get faded up.
Yeah.
And it's been a hobby my entire life. I spent a lot of time out in the plants. I spent a lot of time doing a few different jobs. I had like 3 different jobs as an adult, that have lasted the span of 20 years. And I've always cut hair on the side. It's always been a hobby.
Yeah.
And about 3 years ago, I decided to make it a real
To get the
career
paper.
to make money.
I got to
Yeah.
get the paper. I got to do the
Cutting hair, man.
and-
It's a different breed of people.
I love it, though.
In my head, I'm like, why doesn't everybody do this? Because like Mike, for me, it just kind of came. It was just there, and it was fun, and I was good at it. And if you're good at something, it kind of hypes you up,
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I in my head, I'm like, why doesn't everybody just cut hair? Like, I don't get it. And then I talk to other guys. They're like, dude, there's no way in the world I could do this. There is no way. Like, I can't be in that people's personal space. I can't be that close to people. I'm not that patient. I can't have people, me working my butt off and then be like, no, I don't like this. Can you fix it? And so I guess barbers are a different breed. When you say it's always your hobby, like it is. It's like when if
It doesn't feel like you're going to work.
you're called to barbering, it's very Mr. Miyagi and the bonsai tree. You know what I'm saying? It's very relaxing.
Sure.
It's almost like you're just getting your.
It feels good to make people feel good. When you get a great haircut, you feel good.
It makes a difference.
And when somebody turns around and says, "Man, that's the best haircut I ever got,"
Yeah.
man, it makes your day. It makes the whole, journey worth it.
Hey, I saw John the Baptized Barber. He put a post up the other day, because he's been
that big
cutting
loose.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he put somebody
dude,
drove
my
from
brother.
like an hour away to get a haircut. They were looking for a good haircut and just like a great review. And I'm sure that you can't, that feeling of like
Yeah.
changing somebody's life, at least for like a week or two, and then
Yeah,
come
that-
back, sit in the chair again.
And
We can
that
do it.
dude's he's a solid dude, John.
Yeah.
So, Hillenkamp is his name. John
Yeah.
Hillenkamp.
Good
Yep.
dude.
Cool. So where is that shop located at?
It's in Santa Fe, right on Highway 6. And you know what? I don't even have the address, but
Right off Highway 6.
Yeah, it's right next to the West County building.
yeah, the address is 11800 Highway 6, Santa Fe. It's right next to the West County building on Highway 6.
It's a little ways down from El Valle after you get your
Yeah, right.
surprise
past
burrito in the
646
morning.
South.
You can come see Big Mike.
Yeah, and it's easy place to find. I mean, there's signs out there, and I'm gonna be putting some more barber flags out there.
Yeah. So what do they have there now? Is it like hairstylists and
Yeah, right now they've got
because even
they got a couple of stylists that are there they've been there for about 5 years.
Yeah,
but
it's like
there's never been any barbers in that shop.
yeah,
And so they gave me my own little room to create a barber shop in there.
because it's a different feel. Like sometimes it's an experience, right?
It is, yeah.
But
So,
Mike gets closed off, which is cool. Like I was
yeah,
in there helping,
you walk into
watching him
the
set up and helping his pops put up some stuff or whatever, and he, you walk in and it's like one of those salons where there's like 2 or 3 little rooms, and every room is 2 or 3 or 4, so stylists in
Yeah.
there. But with Mike, he has his own suite. When you go see Big Mike, it's just going to be you, him, big old bumping speakers.
Got my name official on the door.
You know, so he shuts out all that chatter from the ladies, and it's it becomes the man cave.
It's a family environment though.
Yeah, good ladies.
It's cool. All the ladies that work there are awesome. They've all been very welcoming to me, and they're happy that I'm there, which makes me happy. And I think it's going to be a great thing,
Dude, how was back to school? Because that's hey, everybody needs to get a haircut. Let's go. This is like your time to shine, right?
Exactly. So, I planned it to where my last day at Headliners was this past week was back to school. So I worked the back to school week at Headliners, and
get them through that
Saturday I packed up my stuff and I started working on. It took me about a week to get it together over here in Santa Fe to get all the pieces that I needed to put the shop together, and so I really just started cutting hair out of there Friday.
Yeah,
I've only had a few cuts because I'm trying to just do little tweaks with the lighting and stuff like that. So
yeah, you mentioned like your clientele in League City. Is there people that already told you like, yeah, I'm gonna go get my haircut. I'll go see you now in Santa Fe.
Yeah,
it's already happened.
To be honest, I've already had about 9 clients come out of I had one of them come from 2 blocks away from the old shop. I had one of them come from South Shore. Another one out by Dickinson High School. It's 8 miles from the old shop, and nobody seems to mind.
Yeah.
And so
is it the conversation? What is it? Is it do you give them like sodas or I don't know?
I feed them cookies.
give them cookies and great conversation, and they'll keep coming back. Knock out a fire haircut too.
Every barber has a different style. And whenever you find that barber that their style matches your style, you don't want anybody cutting your hair other than that person. And if you got to drive a couple minutes down the road to get to that person, I did. I followed my barber, the owner of Headliners. I followed him for 20 years. Wherever he went, that's where I went. And, for me, I feel like that's what my clientele that I've built up, they like the way that I'm cut their hair, because they've had other people cut their hair.
Yeah.
And they've come back to me. We're
going to go on the FM right now. We could talk about the drama that ensued whenever you said, hey, I'm leaving. Here we go.
I'm gonna make some stuff up.
Yeah. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. It's 10:03 on a Monday morning. We just got done talking to Miss Leaning. We just got done talking to Sally about the Walk to End Alzheimer's. It's taking place in October. If you want to get involved, feel free to reach out. You can also watch on our Facebook stream, as we have tagged all the events in there, and also the websites, how you can make a difference in our community right here in Galveston. Now we're going to switch it up. I got my good friend Chevy. I got Big Mike in studio. Hey. What's up, Mike?
I went off Fat Albert. I said, hey.
Y'all doing good this morning?
Yes,
doing
sir.
Great. I've never done that in my life. I don't know why I decided to do it then.
So we're going to be talking about, being a barber, even being in barber school, your new shop. Whenever you are a barber, you cut hair. On Mondays, is that like the quiet day? Sometimes shops are closed?
Yeah, a lot of shops are closed.
It's officially unofficial National Barber's Day off.
Yeah, because the weekends when people are probably coming in like, hey, I got some time.
Sunday and Monday are slow, so if you want to work a regular 40-hour schedule, like a normal business schedule, you got to work Saturdays as a barber. That's your money day.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally Sunday and Monday will be your days off. But there's people that work around all the way 7 days a week. I did 2 haircuts yesterday. I did 1 today. If somebody calls me and I'm not doing anything, I'll go into the shop. I don't mind. But naturally, this is my day, or Sunday and Monday is a day off.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about on the Facebook Live, barbers are just geared differently. And so I think there's like this natural, the good barbers, I should say, this natural like hustle in them. So there's really, when you say days off, it doesn't, most people I know that are barbers are going to hustle and
come by. Come through. Let's go.
Somebody wants a haircut, I'm going to give them a haircut.
One, they're taking care of their family, and 2, they love to cut. So, and if you can turn that one, if it's a new person into a full-on client, you've just, won them over. And so you've upped your money for the year. So
How often should someone get their hair cut?
I say 2 weeks. I got some weekly guys. I got some guys that I don't see every 2 or 3 months. And when I get there, I'm like, I cannot believe you're getting to cutting hair. You just can't believe you're letting that much hair touch their ears. You know what I'm saying?
If they like to keep their hair
Yeah.
real short and tight, every week.
Yeah.
If they don't mind letting it grow a bit,
Yeah.
every week or 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah, you talked about cutting, being a kid and even other people at school being like, hey, can you cut my hair? Because that can get expensive, especially when
Yeah.
you're a kid. It's like, hey, I got a job. My mom's paying, my bills and my food. And, even if I did have a job, like, I really want to go, have fun with my friends instead of getting a haircut. So it makes sense
When
investing
I
in a
was
pair
in
of
high
clippers.
school, $5 a pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were lining up in my bathroom to get him. I mean, I'd have 6 to 10 guys every Friday at my house just waiting to get into my bathroom and hand me $5 for a fade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you're good at something and the word gets out, it's easy to to make that a fun hobby, and then whenever it's a fun hobby, it's not like work.
Yeah.
You know?
Take note, Guard. You could be charging people $5 ahead to come in here on KHEA. You know what I'm saying? People lining up.
Yeah,
It's
and-
like, we're about to have some fun. Let's go.
Just for nostalgia's sake, you start recording in the bathroom. People lining up. I want to be like Big Mike.
Oh, man. So, school's back. You made a transition. You were at Headliners over there with Mike. You mentioned he was your barber.
Mike Chavez.
he's been my barber for 20 years.
And friend.
And friend.
And is he still your
He's
friend?
my
Like, how did it
mentor.
go down? Like, what happened, man?
Ooh.
When you make that jump, is it easy?
Yeah, you know what?
No, I'm just
Mike has always supported me. He was the one that encouraged me to go to barber school and come work for him. And somebody told me a long time ago, if you have a vision and you have an opportunity to help somebody else reach their goals, that's whenever you're gonna get the opportunity to reach your goals. And I knew Mike's vision from the time that he told me that he wanted me to come work with him and go get my barber's license and this and that. So I went to barber school. I went to work for him. I've been there for 3 years, and now he's at the place that I know he was looking to be. We got he has a big new shop, just celebrated a year, and he's got a ton of barbers in there working for him. They're all good barbers, and this was the time that it is okay for me to leave. It's not like he's going to be taking a huge hit. I mean, I feel like I was a big part of that shop, and there is going to be something missing from there, me, of course, but he's not going to, it's not going to,
He has it running. It's doing anything.
that's a well-oiled machine now. It's not something that's going to handicap him. And the opportunity that I got, I mean, it was just, nothing short of a blessing that I've been praying for, and it's the perfect situation for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you said about back to school. That is exactly how I planned it. I mean, I found out about, where I could go with it, but also, that I had that opportunity, but I waited until back to school was over so we could get, because that's busy week. That's like Thanksgiving and Easter. And so I helped him through that week, and then I told him that I was going to be going into Santa Fe, and I figured this was a good time to transition right after back to school.
Hey, I actually saw my friend Gerardo just tuned in, and on his Snapchat, he had posted a picture of him cutting his son's hair, and he had just kind of buzzed his, Gerardo did his own. He has good hair, and his son has good hair too. So he had did like one of those, it's faded on the side, and then he has a hard part on there, and it's faded all the way up, and then like a big, comb over going the other way, and he was like, man, and in the comment, like, now I kind of want to cut my hair that way too. But he's not a barber, but he has some skills. I was like, man, he must. I could see him going through that same through. Like, I'm gonna get a haircut, cut my own or cut my friends.
Yeah.
I think everybody does that until they jack something up. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you're asking earlier, like, what makes a good barber? Why would people even come to you? I think, yes, the cut, the conversation, the vibe, the connection, the community. But overall, I think consistency is, I think, good key. If when people were like, okay, I came once, it looked good. I came twice. look good. Okay, now this is a natural thing. This
Yeah.
is the way this guy cuts my hair. There's a trust there, you know.
I think you almost have to go a couple times so that way you get
Yeah.
to know their hair, you get to
Yeah.
know
Oh, yeah.
what they want in style.
Most definitely. There's times where I've cut somebody's hair the first time. I know they didn't like it. I
Yeah.
know they didn't like it, but they came back to me, and the more and more that I got to cut their hair, and I talked to them and told them, come back to me, let me learn the ins and outs of your hair, and I promise you're gonna get a good cut. Usually on the second time, maybe the third time, I'll perfect it.
Yeah.
And that, it does take that. You got to learn those, certain people's hair. Certain people's hair do different things, and when that person can tell that it's getting better and better, and they put their trust in you, and that third time or fourth time, and it looks perfect, they're like, yes,
I just like sitting
this
down
is what I wanted.
and they're like, "You want the same?" Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
and that's where it gets to.
and then you just sit there and they
Yeah.
just knock it out.
That's where it gets to. You don't have to tell them anything anymore. They're just like, "What's up, Big Mike? Go ahead and hook it up."
Yeah. Hey, here's a comment. This is from Ian, who actually tunes in from the UK. He said, my regular barber was on holiday, so I went into a different one I'd never been before. He messed my hair up, and I ended up nearly bald. I always go to my regular barber. And if you don't have a regular barber, like somebody who you visit, you should probably get one.
Yeah.
So that way you don't end up bald.
I ask a lot of questions, man, and I have people go like, I've never had a barber ask me so many questions, not in a bad way, but they're like, man, you really care about what you do.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because I want to make sure, are you happy with it? And at the end of it, I'm like, hey, you want me to change anything? You want me to take some off? And a lot of barbers just boom, 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 get out of the chair. And I get that response from people like, man, most barbers just want me in and out, but I think that's that's what makes a difference. Like you care about your craft, you care about the person.
When
in
you
your
cut
chair.
hair like that, that's when they go home and find that spot in the mirror that they're not happy about. They're like, oh, this dude just rushed me right out the chair. Didn't even,
Yeah.
take the time to details.
And for me, it's more than just cutting hair, man. I do want, in the world I live in, I really try to make an impact in the direct sphere of influence that I can. It's just in anything. Can I change somebody's day by saying hi, to have a small conversation, whatever? And so taking that time and really caring about that person in my chair and their needs and what they want, I just think that's kind of not always there in the culture that we live in. Everything's so fast-paced and moving. Everybody's in and out. Hey, just get it done, whatever. I feel, and people tell me that it really makes a difference, So
Yeah.
find a barber that cares, man, And
Yeah,
so they're out there. There's
And it's
some
like
good
a
ones.
throwback. You think of the
Yeah.
barber, and you even see like old movies and like the classic barber shop. I remember being a kid. I posted a picture on my Instagram memories the other day, and it was one of my first haircuts. I was like almost 2 years old, sitting in a chair, and the barber, it was called Doc's. So Doc was the guy, I don't know his real name, but everybody in Brazoria County, which is where I grew up, went to Doc, and his place is still there. His daughter cut after he passed, and then someone told me in the thing that his son, took it over and is cutting there too. But it had, the barber wheel, and it was nothing. It was a barber shop, as a
Yeah.
kid, and I went there till we moved, and it was just one of those.
I have a
those things.
picture of my first haircut on my mirror, like where I cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a literal older lady. My mom still knows her. Like, she still bumps into her and she still asks about me. Like, I was probably like 4 or 5.
How's Mijo?
Yeah, for real. So I think that's cool. Man, the other day, my mom told me she bumped into her and she was selling a barber chair, and I wanted it so bad. And so I'm like, Mom, tell her I want it, just to have it. That's
Yeah.
the chair I got my very first haircut in, because I'm super nostalgic.
You didn't get it?
like that. My mom never got back to me. I'm like, Mom, I don't know. I don't know how to get a hold of her. I'm like, talk to this lady. So we'll see. I doubt it's gonna happen, but if it does, that'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Hey, so you set up. You're pretty much good to go. There's some tweaks at the shop that you're still making, but you're
I'm
cutting.
good to go. Yeah, I made those adjustments over this past couple of days. I needed some more lighting. Got the lighting done. I had to move my chair over a little bit, make sure it's good spot in the mirrors. Everything's good. I got that done over the last couple of days, and I'm hoping to hit the ground running tomorrow. Tuesday's in a regular business day, so
Yeah.
I'll be in the shop. I'll have regular business hours. You also find me on the Chop Shop Schedulicity. You can book an appointment there, or just
Is that an app or a website?
it's an app, Schedulicity.
Cool.
You go to Schedulicity and look up. You can hook up, set appointment for anything: restaurants, barbershops, Anybody that takes appointments and uses that app, you can use that app. But if you go in there and look up the Chop Shop on Schedulicity, it has my name and then also the other hairstylists that are there that take appointments. And you can just pick a date on my schedule and it'll tell you what I'm available for. And you can set an appointment right there on your phone. It takes like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
scheduling's the way to go, right?
Yeah, it's very, very simple. And that is a great, way to go because once you schedule an appointment, it'll text me and I'll know at 2 o'clock I got Chevy wants to be in a chair and look silky smooth.
Mm.
Right.
Chevy, do you set an appointment?
Do I set an appointment with Mike?
Yeah.
I usually go, what do you got open, Mike? Because I'm trying to sneak in there. But
I'm
yeah.
on the way. Can you get me now?
So, but if he called me, I'm like, yo, I need an appointment. No, you know what I really miss? Intern Ethan. I'm excited he's here.
He's
I
here
know.
today for the first time, and I joked. I was like, it's been like
the first
6
day,
months.
and I'm here the first day? I feel
Yes.
so excited.
I had to beg him to come in, but he starts. So he's starting college tomorrow, but he's still in high school. I don't know how they're doing this stuff now. I was trying to imagine like myself
Collegiate. Yes.
back in high school and like college. I might have taken it seriously, but I don't know.
Right.
I was more into like trying to play music and
I
do
hear
other
you.
stuff.
I hear you.
But he's
That's
doing
why
the
he's
thing.
better than us guarding.
Yeah, probably yes. So
Yeah.
but I am glad he's
I'm
here.
excited to see his smiling face. I don't think he gets enough love on
Yeah.
the show. The interns don't.
He has to earn it.
You know, I understand.
he has to earn
It's
it back.
starting over.
Yeah, from scratch. But no, he's doing great. He's rocking the switcher today, and he's been doing a good job.
It's awesome. He's like a DJ.
Yeah. What are some things that you have, I guess, picked up on now, Chevy, that you maybe didn't realize fully whenever you started the journey with Mike?
First of all, I'm to be fully once I pass my test, of course. But by the end of September, I'll have all my hours. So we're there. We're getting there, buddy.
That's
I'm
awesome.
super excited. To cut. So what was your question again? I'm sorry.
So when you started,
Yeah.
and Mike was like, hey, maybe you should, do this. And he kind of like was helping you get into it.
Yeah.
What are some things that you didn't fully realize? Like you hadn't started barber college.
Yeah.
You hadn't even, practiced on anybody
mean,
before.
That's a crazy question. Everything. Like I didn't know nothing. Like I was like, okay, I know if I put this to my head, this hair's coming off. But how? You're not sure.
He didn't even have any clippers.
I didn't have.
You know what?
nothing.
He came up to the shop and me and another good friend just were
Sweeney
like,
Tom, shout out, even though we
I
hadn't
got
talked to
these.
him.
Yeah, Tom the barber, what up?
Mm-hmm.
Man, we had stuff in our drawers that we weren't using. I was like, here, take this.
I'm like the
This what
Beastie
you're gonna
Boys
do with
of
that.
barbers. I just take the stuff and turn it into gold, baby. Platinum.
Well, it had already gone through these gold. hands.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was
Some
a magic
rubbed off.
touch.
It was already.
Yeah, man. Just the way hair fades, the way it cuts, the blending shears, I just love. Like that's what I really
Yeah.
feel like. To cut hair with blending shears and make it lay down the way you want it to lay down, and not leave lines, and just to see the lines. I mean, that's the whole that. Like even now to this day, people are like, "Oh, it's fine," and I'm like, "It ain't fine." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like they're like, "No, it looks good," and I'm like, "No, it doesn't." And so when I first started, Mike would be like, "Hey, you see that line?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." Like I couldn't even. Your eyes aren't even geared that way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now you can see it from across the room. And
It's a
I'm
whole
like,
new world.
"Ugh," you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Sometimes I cut my little kids' hair, my own kids, in a hurry. Hurry, we got to do da-da-da-da. And then I'll see them later. And I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have been so quick on them, And so, man, you see stuff that it's weird. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's like anything else, I guess. Electricians, painters, whatever. They stare at their project, and the person who doesn't do that every day or doesn't notice, oh, it's fine. But people who do it, you can see
Yeah.
it. And go,
You know
"Oh, it's not."
who like Pastor Hallam. So he's the pastor at Abundant Life. You walk into a room, like design or like things that are wrong because he's, just dealing in real estate and seeing stuff. He's like, he looks at the top down and he can point out things. I'm like, hey, yeah, this looks great. And he's like, actually, you can nitpick anything,
Yeah.
and it's not nitpicking. It's just, hey, what you know, and
Yeah.
then you can't unsee it. Like for me, I've always joked. So I had worked in communications, like telecommunications, like AT&T and all that stuff. So you see boxes and that stuff you'll never forget because you saw it and worked in it every day, or you notice something that everybody just drives by.
Yeah.
And it's like with a haircut, with y'all, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So even if you get out of cutting hair, one day you just have a shop, and you just have people cutting for you, you'd be like,
Yeah.
I may be out the game. I haven't cut hair in a bit, but you need to fix it.
Right. It's so weird. It's so weird. It's almost like a illumination of sorts, like a light turning on that, like from one day to the next, you just notice things that you don't.
I could see it. Like when he was, practicing and learning over this last year or so. I'd be sitting there cutting hair, and he'd be, watching me. He'd come up to the barbershop and just watch us cut to see, what he could learn today,
Yeah.
And he'd tell me all the time, it's amazing. The lines just disappear whenever you cut, and when I cut, there's more lines.
I'm working on it. It was like,
and I was like, no, man. I was like,
trying to get done.
it's all in the method that you do it, and I'd show him, and man, he has such a passion for it that he'd pick it right up, and I'm like, dude, there's no, his work went from good to great quick.
I think if you're out there and you're studying barbering or doing whatever, anything you do, go find people that are better than you at what you do, and you'll realize how good you are not at that thing. Because I think everybody gets to a certain point where they're like, oh, I got this.
I'm good.
And then you have to go find people that are better, and you realize that you're not. And that encourages you and inspires you to be better. And I was thinking, I got all these people calling me, and a lot of it, it's the conversation, man. People just like hanging out. It's fun. We got an hour. Again, we live in a culture that's so go, go, go. To sit in a chair for 45 minutes and just relax and have somebody work on you, I think is a rarity. And like I said, in our culture, so I think it's appreciated. And so, I'm thinking, I'm knocking out all these cuts, and then I'd go hang out with these dudes and be like, like feeling bad for my clients, at the beginning, like, I need to step up my game a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And so and it did. It helped. It made me better. It's like, I want to be that. I want to be able just to move my hand and this hair do what it's supposed to do,
It was the same thing for me, When I went to barber school, I was like, I've been cutting hair since I was a kid. I don't need to learn this stuff. I just need to know what I need to get past the test on. And I stepped into barber school. I didn't know nothing. So I went through, it took me 14 months to go through barber school. By the time I finished barber school, I thought I was a rock star. I went and stepped in the barber shop. I didn't know nothing.
Again.
I felt like a brand new rookie again. So I started watching the guys that, Mike Chavez and the guys that were in the shop at that time, and they helped me out. They mentored me the same way that I was, helping Chevy, and they would come over while I'm doing the haircut and tell me, okay, what you're doing here, use this or do that, and it'll get so much better, and it did.
Yeah.
And it just takes time. The more you do it, and the more information you seek out from other people that do it better, it just comes together. You're cutting hair one day and you're like, man, that looks good.
You didn't have to mentor anybody. Like, why'd you feel the need to do that?
I've always had I've always had a heart for helping people. No matter what it was, whether it's learning how to cut hair or pushing a car off the side of the road, I'm that guy. Like, if I drive past you on 45 and you're trying to change your tire, and I go do something for 20 minutes or go to lunch and I come back and you're still trying to change your tire, I'm gonna get out of my car and help you finish that, because it's just the way that I don't know if it's the way I was raised, or I'm pretty sure my dad, he's like Superman.
Right.
Every time somebody needs help with somebody, or for any reason, they call him, and I guess I've always wanted to be like that. I want to be that guy that, if I have any knowledge or any, something that I can do to help other people, I want to share that. And, nothing that I've ever done was, just fell into my lap or given to me or anything. I always had to work for it, but I always had people supporting me and helping me behind the scenes. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to give that back,
Yeah.
especially for people like Chevy. He's a one of a kind guy. You don't find many friends like him, and that's the other thing, building relationships with people where if he needs something, I'm there. If I need something, he's there, because we have that relationship now that, you know, if it's something that he knows, I can call him, and if it's something that I know, he can call me. And you know, I don't know. It's one of those things.
Yeah, I hear you. You know,
whatever the situation is, if I can help, I'll help.
one thing I noticed, and we've even brought up a couple other barbers, and in a lot of industries, and a lot of not even. I mean, there's just the natural competition. Like, I don't, you know, I want them to come to me, or I want to be better. Like, you know, talking about, you know, John Michael, you know, Hillenkamp, and you talking about, you know, headliners and, you know, your shop, but to still show that love. Is that typical for barbers, or is that just something different with you guys?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
you know what? There's so much hate whenever you leave a barbershop, and so much competition between barbershops.
In the same shop.
In the same shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that dude sucks. You know, like, there could have been people saying that behind my back, but it doesn't matter, because I had my clientele. I have, you know, what I believe I'm good at. And but, you know, when somebody opens up another shop down the street, that's our competition. Like, man, we tell our customers, you don't want to go over there, man. They charge too much, or
whatever it is,
whatever the reason is. But I feel totally different about the situation. Like, the more people you have as a group, like a family, like that atmosphere is going to draw in more people than, you know, you can walk, when you walk in a place and you feel the negativity in there, you can tell. You feel it. You don't want to be in there. You don't want to be in that vibe. So I've always tried to,
you know,
make it more of a family and friendly atmosphere. Plus, I've just always been, I've known when you give and you know, and you know,
comes back to you.
It comes back to you. I'm a total believer in karma. You know,
Yeah.
what you put out there is what you're gonna get back.
And same with you, Chevy, huh? I feel like you probably feel that same.
Oh yeah,
the same
man.
way.
I've seen it 1,000 times. Like like I said, what you put out in the world, it comes back. For me, it's like a reaping and sowing type situation, you know. And you talk about John Hillenkamp too. We've had long conversations. You know, not throwing anybody's business out there, but a lot of it is that for me, it's God, man. Like, God totally changed my life and is always there for me. So I feel like my whole purpose in this world, love God, love people, man. And so I like that. You know, and there's days that I fail at that. There's days I fall right on my face, and I was like, man, I should have been better. I should have been better to that person or whatever. And so every day I get up and try to pour back into the world. And I'm also having a conversation about politics or whatever, which I don't get in much, about what's going on in the world, just different things. I don't want to.
What do you do if someone sits in the chair and they're like, so, blah, and it's something you don't really want to touch on? It's like, that's too much negativity.
There's
Like,
nothing I don't want to touch on, baby. I get, you know, I have and I have people that sit in my chair that are totally of different belief systems and different thought processes. And so my goal is to shine a little light in their life and to walk away with the relationship that we can both believe separate things, and they understand that I love them, you know. And
the other thing is, some people just want you to listen.
That's it.
They don't have anybody to listen to them. So go ahead, tell me about your stuff. I'll listen.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'll take it in.
How much you as a barber, you know, like I said, I know my little circle, but you feel sometimes not just a barber but also a therapist.
Many times. I know a lot of stuff about a lot of people, but that it goes back to somebody just needs somebody to listen to them.
Yeah.
You know.
You ever worried about getting like subpoenaed in court or something?
Nah.
Never happened.
I'm a lockbox.
Right.
I ain't saying
I know
nothing.
nothing.
We start pulling up like whatever oaths, like barber oaths, like
Actually,
patient
I don't even know
confidentiality.
this guy.
You know,
you
we
know how many
can't.
haircuts I do a week. I
Yeah.
don't recognize him.
Yeah. They're like, no, Mike, we know your haircuts. We've
Yeah,
seen
no,
them. This is one of yours.
there's no lines.
If there were lines, we knew that'd be Chevy. Man, you talk about lines. It's funny because when I started, you know, Mike would just be sitting there and I'd be cutting. And I'd be like, and certain hair types are just easier. They just are, you know, and other hair types, just the way hair grows. My hair grows weird in the back. My hands cut my hair sometimes. And he's like, your hair grows all different ways, you know. I'm trying to fade myself. And I'm like, Mike, why can't I fade myself? He's like, because your hair's dumb, you know. And the lack
Like,
of
you
it or
gotta
whatever.
go this way.
Yeah. And so it's still to this day, like we hadn't really been training per se in about a year.
Yeah.
You know, I'm cutting people's hair and there's a line and I'm like, I can't get this line out, or it's tougher than just a little whoosh, you know. And I hear Mike's voice going, just work that line. Just work that line. I'd be like, how do I do this? And he's like, work the line. Just cut it. Pretty much is what he's saying. Just keep cutting it. And I'm like, and so, you know, you just keep working. And if you have the right touch, eventually that line's going to disappear, you know. And so to this day, I just want to tell you that. I still hear your voice in my head. Work that line. When I see it, and I'm like, work that line. And I just keep going, you know.
You know, something else. Like, as guys get older, sometimes they don't have as much hair as they used to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I remember being a kid and I had a big old shaggy. Looked like I had a mushroom on my head, just like hair everywhere, right? And I feel like it's a skill as a barber to do the best with the least. You know, like even sometimes it's like, okay, we're going to make your hair look good for it is what it is. You know, you're not as young as you used to be. Is that difficult to do sometimes?
Yeah. One thing that I've learned also is don't try to cover it up. Cut it short. If you don't have a lot of hair, cut it short. You know, if you cut it short, it looks like you have more. You know, and or trim it up. You know, whenever these guys like they don't have anything for a good 5 inches in their forehead, and they grow it all out the back to try and cover it up, you can tell, and it looks.
I think it's cool. Don't listen to him. I think it's cool. Mine's the opposite. I try to get my bangs to grow down to the back of my neck. That's what I'm trying to do.
Doing the most with the least.
Yeah. We call that the convertible top. That's the rag top.
Have it over.
Yeah.
Do what you can do right now.
Let's talk about mullets.
Hey, speaking of mullets,
They're coming back.
intern Ethan had asked in here earlier. Said, "Hey, can y'all give me a mullet?"
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Live on the air.
I love giving mullets.
Oh, dude, mullets are the best. They're coming back. In Germany, they have a mullet fest.
Ethan has beautiful, like reddish ginger blonde red hair.
Let's rip that hat off, buddy.
Yeah.
You need to grow it in the back, dude. We're talking about if you're going to party in the back,
no
you need
mullet
to
yet.
party in the back. So,
yeah,
he's down.
Maybe
I'm
we can
pro
work
mullets.
on that. Right now,
grow it out, and then you can we can cut it on Facebook Live.
Somebody sent me a picture of a mullet the other day, and they're like, "Can you do my hair like this?" And it was a Mexi mullet, which I call because they're curly in the back. Love them; they're my favorite.
Yeah.
But then they had the shape of Texas on the side, and I was like, "I'm pretty sure this is what everybody in heaven's hair looks like."
yeah,
You
I
make
like
it to
those
them
memes
perfectly.
where it's just like, "Say no more, fam." It's like, hey, I don't know what it is. Like, I really like ramen noodles, and then it's like a ramen noodle haircut.
A mullet's not just a haircut, but it's definitely a way
It's
of
a
life.
lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. Like your clothes. If you get a mullet, you're like your wardrobe just starts changing. You know.
Your coat has tassels on it.
Yeah, you get a little swagger
cowboy
in that
tassels.
step. Yeah.
Chevy, so you're done with Barber College at the end of September?
In theory, yes.
What it's looking like?
It's looking like.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you excited? Like,
I'm
what's the
super
next
excited.
step?
Well, I got to pass my tests, my practicals, which everybody I talk to is like, you're gonna knock it out, you know. But I'm nervous about that. I'm not a great test taker.
Yeah.
I haven't been in school, and I can tell you how long. So, it's there's nerves,
easy.
but yeah, that's what everybody
Trust
says.
me.
Everybody's like, I ain't worried about you. So,
Do you have any plans or thoughts? Like, what are you going to do after that?
yeah, I mean, my ultimate goal, and is I think to open up a shop as well. Like, I just feel old, man. You know, I started late in the game. I feel, and just to go work for somebody else, and I'm very headstrong on a certain vibe of the shop. You know, I mean, I could work with Mike or whatever, but there's not a lot of other. There's a handful of guys that, and there are kind of set in their shop, so I'm not really poaching or anything. That's my plan, but who knows? I don't have anything set in stone. You know, I got to find a building and do all that. I definitely want to be in the Santa Fe area too. We both feel like Santa Fe is very like sport local,
home.
and
Hopefully, maybe there'll be some space there at the chop shop for him whenever he gets available, and we can be there in the same building together.
That'd be super cool.
That would be good.
Yeah, it's always and I bet down the road either us or maybe even our children will have something because we plan on teaching our kids. They're gonna be like, "No, Dad." We're like, "No, you're gonna do this."
My son has actually
Barber
expressed,
and Sons. Yeah.
Interest in becoming a barber. He sees what I've gone through to become a barber, and then also the benefits of it. He catches on to stuff like that. So that's been something that he's expressed. I would love for him to become a barber. That would be
And, like,
for me to work side by side with him until it's time for me to retire. That'd be a dream come true.
I'm kind of the same.
My son's my number one. I'm his number one fan. So anything that he does, I always support him 100%. But if he was to go after and do what I'm doing, to follow my footsteps,
let's have some proud dad moments. Your son starting football this year,
freshman football
Texas
player,
football,
That's
baby.
awesome.
yeah, and he's getting better week by week. He's gonna be a beast. He's a big boy.
He's a big boy already.
He just turned 15. I want to say he's like 6'1", 285. He's on the O-line guard, and I've seen him play. The first scrimmage, he didn't do so well. He got pushed back a couple times, but they did have to double team him. Second game, he was J.J. Watt. He was smashing people, and I was super proud to see him doing that. Also, he does boxing, so when he's off-season football, he'll be boxing, and I'm proud of my son. Whatever he does, he's my life. He is really, honestly, my reason for changing barbershops. That is why I went to Santa Fe, because I want to be close to him. Now on Thursday when he has a game, I'm 5 minutes down the road. I can go watch his game.
Yeah, kids change everything.
Yeah, and I only have 4 more years with him to decide whether he's going to go to college or go to the military, and whatever he decides to do right after high school. And so I want to seize that time and make the best of it.
Does he call on you to get a haircut like every week?
He never wants to get his hair cut.
Really? He just likes
I got to
to grow it?
make him.
Really?
Mine are
Yeah.
the same way. Like it's like
Yeah.
torture putting.
But I told him, as the son of a barber, you're not going to school looking like that. So
At least the first day.
You know.
Does he grow his hair out, or does he just like not
no,
really have?
he's kind of one of those no nonsense kind of hair types. I faded up on the sides.
No
and,
nonsense.
If he wants to comb it in the morning, he can. It's long enough where he can do something with it. But if you don't, it doesn't look.
Yeah, he
like-
don't have to comb it to the side or gel it or anything.
It still
in it.
looks good. And I was telling, I don't know if I was telling Chevy or not, but I was watching him. He took his helmet off on the football field, and that's how I found him. His haircut. I couldn't see him in the
That's
crowd, and then he took his helmet off, and I saw his fade, and I was like, "That's my boy."
There it is. You better watch out. That's going to get you subpoenaed too.
Yeah.
Those haircuts. Yeah, mine are opposite. I got 4 boys. They all have their own style. I have my middle kid does not like. He's grown his hair out long, which is cool. It gets me a chance to practice on longer hair. So right now I'm just hitting them up on the sides, little tapers, very little, and we're letting it grow. But the other ones, they have fades and hard parts and designs on the side of their head sometimes.
Yeah. Also, you get tagged in haircuts that, it's not just like a typical barber stuff. It's like long hair, short hair, curly hair,
Yeah.
all kinds of hair. And they're like, hey, can you do this? You said, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the answer is
Even
yes.
if I can't sometimes, I'm like, yeah, let's see what happens.
We'll figure
Guy
it out.
jumps into stuff that I won't bother with.
Yeah, I do girls'
He
hair.
has no limits. For me, I'm like,
You know what's funny?
don't
The
do
only
that.
limit I had for the longest time, it wasn't even a limit. I would still do it and just wasn't in love. And now I feel super comfortable with them. Were bald fades, which is the most common of all hair.
Yeah.
But like girls would come in with long hair and be like, "Hey, I want to cut it off." But yeah, let's get into it. Just crazy stuff that, again, and it's God, God given, or just all glory to God that I would just do these things and they would be okay. They'd come out good and people would be happy and I'd be like, yeah. But in the back of my head, I'm like, I can't believe I pulled that off, And but bald fades, man, for some reason were the hard, like bald to
the technical
Yeah.
difficulty of it is
they were the hardest thing for me for the
bald
longest
fades are
time.
not easy to do. It's the most popular haircut out there and what most barbers today specialize in, but that's why they brag so much on themselves, because it's not an easy haircut to do. To go from skin, like smooth as your cheeks, to a smooth transition, it's not easy as it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you can do it consistently to where it just looks perfect, well, we call them blurry fades or silky fade, where it looks just like it was meant to be like that. That's how you can tell you got a good barber.
That's a haircut you got to keep up pretty regular.
Yeah,
That's
those
a
are the
weekly
weekly.
haircut.
Yeah, those are the weeklies.
Those are the guys they're calling you on Tuesday to get it edged back up.
Yeah, I used to have some friends that'd be like, I got to get my haircut, like before the weekend, Thursday before the weekend, like weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess,
and
it
we
just
love
depends.
those gentlemen.
Yeah.
Come
those
on
are
in.
our favorites.
Sit in my chair. It's 1040. This is KHEAradio.com, 99.5 FM. If you're watching on Facebook, feel free to share this out. If you have any questions, maybe you want to know where the chop shop, where Big Mike is, and how you can get hooked up with him and go get a haircut, or you want to say what's up to Chevy or even Ethan. We had a request earlier for Ethan to kind of stick his thumb in the corner and to give a thumbs up on camera, and he did.
Come on, Ethan. Yeah.
So that's Ethan's
that
thumb if
thumb
you're
out
watching on
there.
Facebook. Yeah. So the chop shop, it's in Santa Fe off of Highway 6. It has to be easy to find.
11800. It's
It's a few doors.
literally in between the courthouse and Texaco. It's a white building. You'll see Chop Shop Hair Studio sign right out there. And once you walk
it's about
in,
half a block down from Elvira, correct? For the chubby boys.
So 646 South. Yeah, it's about, I don't know, it's walking distance.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there on the left-hand side. Very easy to find, very friendly people. Walk in the door, and my suite's on the left.
Yeah,
It
with
says Big Mike on the door.
there you go. With Chop Shop, I just imagine walking in, it's just like chopped and screwed, like music. That's the first thing I thought of. Like, oh, the
You
Chop
know
Shop.
what? I thought when I heard that name that it was some little thug dudes or something that ran it, and it's the sweetest ladies.
It's a
They're-
salon. Yeah, it's a
they're
salon.
salon.
Hairstylist.
Yeah.
Country girls,
They're
What's
the
the
most
difference?
friendly people.
Between a hairstylist and then a barber, because I don't know if it's night and day, but how would you describe, what's the difference?
The razor.
The razor is the big difference. A hairstylist, they are, from what I understand, not allowed to razor clean your neck, or we do the razor edge ups. They're not allowed to use the straight razors. They use the safety razors, but it's not the same thing. It sometimes can have the same effect, but it's not the same skill. And also, we can do the the perms and the hair color and stuff like that. Barbers can do all that, but 99% of the time we don't. That's their
specialty,
That's their
the color,
it's more
that's
all
where they
chemicals.
make
Like
their money.
they're dealing with chemicals, and
the
we're dealing with straight razors. So that's kind of the
chemical processes. That's all I leave that to stylist.
And it's probably good to specialize. Hey, this is what I specialize in. If you want to get that, we can do it. But actually, if you walk right out here, you can find someone
Yeah.
who's going to be able to.
Yeah.
That's their thing.
That's what I love about where I'm at now. It don't matter, if a guy comes in, he wants his wife to get her haircut while she's there. Well, we have people that can do that, and we have, stylists in the building that, they can set appointments with, husband in my shop and wife in the other shop, and
Yeah, they
you
can have
know.
a daddy-daughter date.
yeah,
Let's go get your hair
cool.
cut and
Exactly.
washed and everything else. That'd be fun.
How Mike was talking about me just jumping in random things. You say that the other day, a client hit me up. He's like this punk rock dude, He's like, hey, can you dye my hair blue? Never dyed hair. Yeah, let's try it. And then I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then I sat and I was like, I'm like, my little shop has no, what's the smell?
The sink?
The sink, but the ventilation. There's not
ventilation.
great ventilation in my place. We're about to deal with all these chemicals. And I wrote it back and I was like,
Just like at the grocery
nah, man. Yeah.
store. The Kool-Aid aisle, yeah, I've done this before.
Yeah.
Get the
And
Kool-Aid.
that was the one thing that I actually turned down was dyeing. He wanted real hardcore, not just old school punk rock manic panic stuff.
Yeah.
He wanted the bleaches and the chemicals. And my first reaction was yeah, let's do it. And then I thought about it and I was like, nah. That was the one thing that I really turned down. It was I probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So-
You wanted blue, electric, blue.
Yeah, blue. Yeah.
That's
So,
cool. That's cool.
So, yeah.
Hey, one of our other interns, he was trying to dye his hair blue, but he was doing it himself, and so he has really thick hair. He has really, really thick hair. But he actually ended up doing something really cool where it kind of looks like stripes, like a tiger stripes in his hair.
Yeah.
But he was just like, I'm doing it, and then he tried it, and it didn't work.
The
so he
other
had to
gentleman
bleach
that
it
was
3
here?
times. Yeah.
What was his name?
Eldridge.
Eldridge, that's right.
Yeah.
What's with the blue? I mean, like,
I don't know.
blue is the thing right now. Like,
Teal, really.
everybody is going blue. Whenever I was in high school, that's when Eminem came out.
Mm-hmm.
So me
Bleach.
and all my buddies bleached our hair and did that little fade with the straight comb down. But that's the only thing I ever did. But
Dude, I had, when I was
could
growing up.
not
But mine
do
were like,
blue.
it was all like, whatever, Manic Panic, real cheap stuff. But I had red, green, blue, I'd shave my head like almost to nothing.
Yeah.
And then I'd bleach it, and it burned so bad because I would be like, I'm going to leave it there longer. And because in my head, I'm like, my hair's so black, I need to leave it longer than it's supposed to. So I think I've chemical burned my head a couple times. And like, but it looked like a snow cone. You know how when you get that colored snow cone? That was the vibe I had.
Well, and then there was the tips. Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna frost,
yeah.
like frosted tips.
Yeah.
I had frosted tips only because I bleached
Of
it.
that.
the little
And then it
brown
grew,
look.
and then I had an
Yeah.
afro. I don't know if you remember. I was playing the Wonder Kids back then.
Yeah.
I had the afro, and so the tips grew, and I had like an afro with, in the top of it was like this puffy blonde, like a cotton field. That's what it looked like. So,
That's what's up. That's cool.
know.
Hey, I'm gonna give a shout out to a couple people. What's up, Jonathan at the Sanctuary Gym? I saw that Cassidy, who is over there as well at the Sanctuary, she went to this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Like, it's called like the World Masters, and she just won the whole thing. She won first
Oh,
place.
wow.
That's
There was a
awesome.
Houston Open, and she placed there. Went to Las Vegas this past weekend and won the whole stinking thing.
That's
So
amazing.
that's awesome. She's out of the Sanctuary Gym, and she has her.
Sanctuary's one on 517.
They used to be on 517. Now they're in Friendswood. They moved to
Okay.
another spot. But yeah,
Yeah.
so she's out of I believe like one of the Gracie jiu-jitsu schools as well. And then I got to give a shout out to Brendan Keys, who's going to be in studio. Is that tomorrow, I believe. So they have a professional, it's a semi-pro soccer team. And they actually have games in League City. But last time he came in, and that's why we have Ian watching from the UK. Like, there's people, soccer is such a big sport.
Yeah.
People love it from all over the world. And so we're going to be talking about that again, how you can go check out some local semi-pro soccer. So that'll be exciting
Sweet.
as well. So good morning to you, Brendan, and we'll see you soon. I'll contact you as well. So right now, we're talking to Big Mike, talking to Chevy about some barbering and anything else that comes up, as well.
Hey, you just were, shouting out to people. You care if I give a shout out
Of
to
course,
some
yeah,
people?
go ahead, man.
I'm right here, dude. I mean,
Well, Chevy for hooking up me with you guys,
Yeah.
and for being an awesome friend and always, being there for me anytime I needed something. But
thanks, but I was just kidding. But now I'm all
he is a
emotional.
good guy. He deserves a shout out. But Mike Chavez at Headliners, he got me into this business, and I feel very grateful to him for that. And he taught me a lot, and I'm appreciative of that. But my dad, he busted his butt this last week helping me get this shop together. My stepmom Doris, she had a lot of help behind the scenes. I got a friend named Shay Spears that has supported me through this whole thing, and a lot of it, mental support is goes a long way, and it's stressful trying to make this change, but also to Tina at the chop shop, the owner of the chop shop, and the ladies there, they have been so welcoming and friendly, and made this an easy change. I'm very happy and proud to be at the chop shop now, and I want to say thank you to those ladies as well. And Frank and Moya, they hooked me up with some stuff to get my shop going. Everything just fell together. I mean, when you got an opportunity, and then your family just from all different directions has something to offer to help make it come together in a week's time, and there's no way that I could have done it without those people. And I just want to tell all of them thank you very much, and I appreciate it, and I love all you guys for helping me get to where I'm at now. And I know I'm going to be successful, and it's because of all the help that I've had, and I never forget that, that there's people behind the scenes that make the dream work. So I just want to say thanks to all them before I run out of time.
Of course. Chevy, I remember you telling a story about post-Hurricane Harvey, your house got hit.
Yeah.
and there was people from all different, probably like church life, Christian friends, wrestling
Yeah.
people, like just people that you meet
It was crazy.
from all over.
Yeah, I do a lot, man. I was running a comic shop, and I was like just used to be in a punk rock band and involved in all these wrestling podcasts and all this stuff. So there were wrestlers there. It was funny because I'd have like big old giant swole dudes next to guys who look like Vikings, next to people who I met from Comic Cons, and we put out something on Facebook, and I just said, hey, everybody, Hurricane Harvey happened. Everybody said, if you need anything, let me know. And I was like, this is me needing something. If
This is
anybody
it.
said that,
Yeah.
you want to come tear this stuff out of my house, I need to get out. Stuff was molding. We had to get back in there as soon as possible. And like 40 people showed up, man. It was great. Dude, I ain't seen in like 20 years. Shout out even Big Mike's boy, Bobby. I ain't seen Bobby Ellis in like 20. He shows up with his family. If he's listening, you're a blessing, brother. And there were so many people there. He said, hey, man, do you care if I go help your neighbors? And so Bobby Ellis and his family were just walking down the street helping people,
Yeah.
So it was like a beautiful moment. And there's a chance more for, again, we talked earlier, reaping and sowing. I feel like I really try, and I have to, because I want the world to be a better place around me. Put out love in the world, and just be nice to people and treat people the way you want to be treated. It matters. Like saying hi, shaking hands, looking people in the eye. It's funny. There's an unsaid rule in wrestling that when you walk into a locker room, you shake everybody's hand, from the referee down to the biggest star, down to the guys training. And I always tell people somebody should write a book saying things I've learned in professional wrestling, because there's all these unspoken rules, and it's really just about manners, and it'll take you far in life. And so, man, just seeing that, I got a chance to pull my kids aside and say, look, at the end of the day, love God, love people, and this is what it looks like. That it doesn't matter. Not all these people believe the same way I believed. We weren't all from the same place in the world. We were all from different backgrounds, but they all showed up to show love because of some connection that we made within the last 20-year span, one way or another. There were people who used to just come to these punk rock shows that we used to put on. People in the audience that I know but don't really know, showed up just to help. And so it was crazy, man. And it was a good just
way
a
to
good
see
time,
people care.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
people
good to
care.
show my kids. My kids will never forget that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you spoke of the comic shop earlier. Have you been to Heart Pharmacy?
I have.
I went the
have.
other day, and we did a segment on it, and it was
Did you?
really
Yeah.
interesting because I didn't realize they had, a bunch of like vintage comics in
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
and they're
yeah.
like $1, and then they have 4 arcade games. They're emulators, like 1,000 games on them a
Oh,
piece.
they got them going.
They are 100% operational. I was playing like some fighting games the other day.
Yeah.
They have like 1,000 games, and it's 999 games on all 4 of those. So you walk in, they have like board games that you can just go in there and play. And I was like, why? Why do y'all do that? Like, why? And they were just sharing,
What's the gentleman's name from Heart?
his name is John.
John.
John
Amazing
Hart.
dude.
He's one of the techs.
Amazing dude.
Yeah.
When we were running Toxic, we did some work with them and kind of bumped into them. And, he's a big gamer. He's like a game room in his house that would put any gaming store to shame.
Really?
Yeah. So he's and not just video game, but like board games. Like, dude's interesting. He's an interesting cat.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance to swing by Heart Pharmacy and, say hi to that guy. Man, I really like him. He always lets me use his building because I love the big Texas flag on the outside for photographs,
Mm-hmm.
So,
So right next to that, they're doing a market on 3. So they're doing like a food truck park with like a vendor market on like the weekends and stuff. And they are actually using a portion of their building to show movies. That's like the idea, like projection stuff. So that's fun. But yeah, shout out to Heart Pharmacy, and be on the lookout for that feature that we'll be dropping here in the next month or so, I believe. But it's some good stuff, man. Good stuff. Hey, is there anything else you'd like to share? We're running out of time.
I just want to say thank you to you also for having me in today.
Of course. Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I really wanted to get the word out there about the chop shop. I can't plug that enough.
For sure.
Santa Fe, Texas. Y'all got a fade shop now. So come see me. Make appointments on Schedulicity. If you got Barber Mike Rodriguez on Facebook, my phone number's on there. You can text me. And I hope to be able to build some clientele out there and be as successful as I was in League City, or if not more.
Just need to get your son to spread the word. You just let him be
Yeah.
like, hey, let me fade you. People are
That's
going to be asking.
my billboard.
Where'd
that's
you get
my
your
walking
haircut at?
billboard right there.
yeah.
Pops.
I told him I was going to make him a couple T-shirts too to walk around in the high school with.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
man. For me, like everything I'm doing right now is under the umbrella of Kingston DeVille on Facebook. You can check out my photography. You can check out what I'm doing with haircuts. And I also run Chop to the Chest Radio with me and Mr. 409, Nate Laws, and El Guapo, Eddie, as my co-host, man. Shout out to them. And, man, we just do a lot of stuff with local wrestling. It's something we've all kind of been passionate about, and more the art side of it. And, so if anybody wants to know that, go check out Chop to the Chest Radio. We are on bmoviesandebooks.com or any of your podcast providers. You can just look it up on your podcast little app on your Apple phone or whatever. But yeah, Kingston DeVille on Facebook. Friend me, add me, check out what we're doing. We do a lot of cool stuff. So I think that's it for me, man. I'm just excited. Big Mike got to get out here and sit and get a shout out. His new shop's up and going. I'm super proud of you, brother. It's going to be hopping, so I'm going to have to come in and get the scraps
there you go.
when my shop opens. But I'm okay. I'll take it. I'll take it from you, So he's excellent barber, excellent dude, man. There's no wrong choice with Big Mike.
Yeah,
so
Mike's going to be like, yeah, we don't do that here. That's going to be a Chevy's down the
go
street.
down
You
the
better
road.
go to Chevy's if you want that.
lines in your hair? You go over there. No.
All right. Hey, I'm going to end the show. I appreciate everybody taking the time to tune in, and a very big special thank you to Mr. Ethan, intern Ethan, who is back here today, and I appreciate you coming in. I would not have been able to do this
Intern Ethan,
in an appropriate way without you today. So that's his thumb if you're watching on the Facebook stream or on Channel 46. This has been Kickstart. Y'all want some cookies?
I'll take a cookie to my kid.
There you go. All right, to your kids. Yeah, take the cookie. I feel you. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Bye, Facebook. Y'all be blessed.